Today's project is an old stock Ye Olde Huff and Puff 36-foot wooden boxcar, B&O. And I was just going to open it up and show the components. First up is the drawing. It's a measured drawing, full scale, so you could actually use this drawing as a pattern to follow if you wanted to make the car again. It's well packed. I think this package is from the early 80s, maybe. Um, Pre-painted car sides. These are the blocks to build the ends, all the metal castings and steps. A little baggy. Um, these are uh, for the car ends, the car roof, all milled out. A bunch of bolsters, things to build the car up with. It's really a little box of sticks. There's the floor, more wood, and more wood, and a bunch of uh, metal pieces for the guide rails for the door, brake rigging, and so on. So I like to dry fit things to make sure that everything's the right size before I glue things up. So there's the bottom, the car ends, the internal structure of the car ends, and the roof. And I checked it against the drawing, and it's pretty close, so I don't have to cut anything down. This is the bottom, the bolsters, and the spine. This was a transition car. It had a steel floor. It wasn't tie rods. And I glued up the ends to the floor. I was at my vacation house, so I didn't have the right all of my tools, and my wood glue had gone off in storage. So I just spread it with a wire, put the roof on, made sure everything was all squared up, everything's aligned properly. Can squeeze all the excess glue out. No one's going to see this part. It's going to be completely covered in sheathing, but it's good to keep things clean. Since I didn't have any clamps, I ended up using tape to hold the parts together. It's not the best, but in a pinch, made sure everything was square and let it dry. Let's see. Then I did the floor beams, the bolsters, and the floor beam. Everything's glued together with wood glue. It's quite an old kit, so everything's dried. There wasn't any warping, and I used clothespins off the clothesline to keep everything clamped down. It's a good idea to keep things clamped so everything's really secure. And after I let that dry, uh, peeled off the tape, took off the clothespins, and now I'm going to start working on the car ends. It's nicely stamped as for what it's for, which is actually quite helpful. Um, I wanted to use the actual car instead of the drawings, just in case there was any deviations. And I traced it out with the pencil, and then cut it with the utility knife. Again, I'm not using my proper tools. Kit building while on vacation. The nice thing about the scribed siding is that you can follow the lines of the scribing and keeps everything aligned really well. And some filing to do, keep things clean and checked. There needs to be a base plate at the bottom of this, like an end plate. The car end has a sill that sticks out a bit past the siding. So I had to cut the tops of these car ends to match um, the peaked roof on the car. So I cut those out and had to file them again. This filing is put up by Midwest Models, uh, Midwest Wood Models. It's like a permanent rough filing piece using using metal. It does clog, but it's convenient for leaving at my vacation house. And here I'm gluing the car ends up. I spread out the glue really thin, and I'm going to use the clothespins again to make sure everything stays where it should be, nothing slides around, and it's aligned properly. And spread glue over the car end, other car end, and then pressed in, clamped it again, spreading the glue with this dental pick and adding this little trim piece at the top above the siding into the roof. I measured it all out and marked it so I could cut it. And I'm using a Northwest Shortlines chopper and holding it at the angle I want cut. And these just use a straight razor and they slide right through whatever material you're trying to cut. And pushing it in. This is a tricky spot to glue. Did both ends at the same time, pushing it in. And now I'm going to do the ribs across the roof, again using the chopper. And I cut them the full length of the roof and then scribed a little piece where the ridge is. But with the chopper, you can make a uniform size cut if it fits on top. If you look at the far right side, there's a little piece of wood. It keeps everything aligned. So I'm just checking to make sure, and then I'm going to go in and use CA to attach these to the roof. And I do one end and then kind of lay it over the ridge and come down the other side. At the ridge, there will be a walkway. Um, that scribe didn't go the whole way through, so I'm doing it again. Make sure it bends across. Again, the center, like the ridge post, is really going to be covered with the walkway. And it was important to get these lined up straight. Um, there's the sill plate on the end. I'm going to tape it off. Here I'm fitting the other end. So that fits at the bottom of the car side. Um, any excess glue I'm scraping up with my knife. Um, Keep it clean. And these are little pieces will fit on the bottom, um, kind of attached to the bottom of the car, the floor of the car. And again, they'll be close-pinned on to keep them aligned and in place. After they dry, take off the clothespins. Here's the ridge roof, or the roof walk rather. It goes across the ridge. Thankfully, it covers up any mistakes. The good part of trim. And again, I clamped this down, um, made sure everything was aligned before I did. And just making sure everything's set up. Um, Taped everything down and removing the tape after everything dries. And now I built the doors, but I lost the footage for that. So now I'm going to get out the brake cylinder out of the metal detail pack, fish that out, and it's a white metal casting, and it did need some cleanup. I didn't really have my fine files, so I ended up just cleaning it up with my knife. Just scraped any uh, seams, casting seams. I mean, it's a pretty simple casting. It's not got a lot of detail, and they did not include any directions for um, the plumbing for the brakes. Um, so I'm gonna have to figure that out, and I think I'm gonna finish the car without it and come back, uh, fit it later. So I drilled the hole where the casting will fit, and then a tight hole, and CA glued it in into the floor. It fits really close to that sill beam. And I just kept pressure on it until it dried. And now checking the car sides and what the doors will look like when they're fit. And I take it all to the spray booth, and I'm just gonna get an undercoat on everything. Spray all the car sides before I attach the pre-painted car sides and the doors and the guide rails for the doors. And it's important to get all sides because there might be some parts that you miss. And this is a tricky part. I taped the car sides to the drawing and then used the drawing um, to align the holes for the grab irons. And I drilled through with I think a 79 drill. You can see the little holes, um, and they're fine wire grab rails and just push them in and make sure they're secure. And then, along with the roof walk end and the brake wheel, uh, gave that all a matching undercoat to the rest of the car body. And here's the car side with the handrails pressed in. It's a The body was painted a local color, but it's hard to get now. And here's the completed car without trucks, because I didn't have trucks that were appropriate for this. But late 1800s, early 1900s B&O boxcar. Um, Thank you for watching, and there'll be some more projects coming up, as well as some field trips. And I hope you enjoyed it.